The world's biggest serial killer would have never been caught if he knew how to operate a computer. Imagine a person who is committing serial killings, who is also a friend of his own victim, a well-known name in the city, and on top of that, a doctor. This is the astonishing story of Dr. Harold Shipman, who used his clinic not to save lives, but to take lives. In a small town named Hyde in England, where only 30 people live, he kept on committing serial killings for 23 years under everyone's nose. Even after killing more than 250 people, no one suspected Dr. Harold Shipman and probably would never have suspected him if he had not made a small mistake. What was the reason for killing people? Why was he not caught for so long, and what clue did the police get that exposed the murders that were going on for years in a single moment and put them? The flatterer was Dr. Harold Shipman. The doctor mostly targeted such patients who lived alone and were very old, whose death could not be suspected by anyone. Dr. Shipman would spend as much time as possible with those patients and would also go to their homes to listen to them to lighten the burden of their hearts. He would make them feel that although they are alone, Dr. Shipman is there to listen to their every word. Some patients even trusted Dr. Shipman so much that they had even given him the keys of their house. Due to this attitude of his, he had become very famous in Hyde because people thought that Dr. Shipman only treats old people through bar, but under the guise of all this, Dr. Shipmans would find out who is alone at what time, who has how much wealth and property, who all come to the house and where the relatives stay when the doctor is there. When Shipman was satisfied, he would kill his patients by giving them an overdose of medicine. Since those patients were already more than 80 years old, no one would have suspected their death. This continued for many years. Forget about getting caught, no one even suspected him until he himself made a mistake. Dr. Shipman started his career in a town called Pontefract, 70 kilometers away from Hyde, where he used to work in a hospital. Then in 1974, he left Pontefract and went to Todd Modern, where he got a position as a general practitioner in Abraham and Murad Medical Center. During his job here, he used to prescribe excessive quantity of pathinu to some patients, which is actually a painkiller, but it is a very addictive medicine. Dr. Shipman was addicted to pathin, and he deliberately used to give this medicine to his patients. There is no need for medicine prescription. What happened was that the patients felt very good after taking this medicine, while in reality they did not know that they were taking drugs. This was the reason that the patients of Shipman were attracted towards him even if they did not want to. After getting caught, the hospital administration fired Dr. Shipman and the matter reached to canceling his license, but the ship management saved his license from getting canceled. After spending some time in the rehab center, when everyone forgot him, he came to Hyde in 1977, where he got a general practitioner in Donnybrook Medical Center. In 1980, he kept practicing on the position of GP, and in the meantime neither did he give up drugs nor did he find an opportunity to kill old patients. But the frequency of these murders increased a lot from 1993, when he opened his own clinic in Hyde and made a good name in the city. For the next several years, the matter continued like this, and no one suspected the doctor's actions. For the first time in March 1998, Dr. Linda Reynolds, who worked in Brook Surgery, another hospital opposite Shipman's clinic, expressed her suspicion about the high mortality rate among Shipman's patients. She said that Shipman, who runs only a small clinic, has seen 16 patients die in the last 3 months, while Brook Surgery, which has 3 times more patients than Shipman's clinic, has seen only 14 deaths during the same period. This suspicion grew further when it was found out that all 16 of Drive Shipman's patients were not buried but cremated after their death. Let us tell you here that most Christians bury their loved ones after death, only a few people decide to cremate them. Dr. Linda expressed her suspicion in a report. In the case of Manchester coroner, it was written with all these details that most of these 16 patients of Drive Shipman were old women who were found dead in their own homes, and it cannot be a coincidence that at the time of death of most of these patients, the doctor was on ship management. But Dr. Shipman's patients died in a strange way while sitting on a chair in good clothes, and secondly, at that time either Dr. Shipman was at his house or he went to the house for the first time and found the patient dead, which cannot be normal in any way. An investigation was also done on the basis of this report, but the police did not find any concrete evidence against Dr. Shipman, and after a month this investigation was closed. When Dr. Harold Shipman's patients used to die, he used to sign Form B himself. Form B is the form which the doctor treating the patient has to sign, in which he writes the cause of death of the patient. But the issue was that Form C, which has to be signed by other doctors, was also signed in most of the cases by Shipman's friend doctors or those people who did not suspect him. In this way, Shipman used to get the death certificates of his patients. He used to write fake information in the certificate and send them for cremation easily, and no one suspected anything. Due to this process, many deaths remained uninvestigated, and this was the reason why Shipman was able to hide his murder easily. After the investigation was closed, his shipmate killed 3 more people, but the time of getting caught was not far. Shipman's last victim was Hyde's former mayor Kathleen, 81 years old, who died in her house on June 24, 1998. And here also Dr. Shipman was the last person who saw Kathleen alive for the last time. He later signed the death certificate and wrote the reason of death as old age. Kathleen's daughter Angela Woodruff herself was a lawyer who became suspicious of her mother's insistence on death when she found her mother's will, in which she had written her house in the name of Dr. Shipman. Dr. Shipman was very close to the family, and the fact that he got a house in the will did not become the basis for suspicion. Rather, Angela suspected that her mother had 2 houses while only 1 house was mentioned in the will. This shows that the will was written by someone who did not know about the other house, and that person was Dr. Shipman. Angela Woodruff went to the police, who started the investigation again. Kathleen Grundy's body was exhumed from the grave and sent for autopsy. It was found that a lot of traces of diamorphine, i.e. heroin, were found in her body. When the police asked Dr. Shipman, he said that Grundy was addicted to heroin, and she had also written this in her computer before treating her. Dr. Shipman had recently started making entries in a computerized medical journal, but he did not know that in that entry, he has entered the date before the death, but the last edit date of that file is automatically saved in the computer. When the police checked the entries in that computer, it was found that it was not enough to arrest the ship management, but the police also found the typewriter which was used to write the fake will. It was found out that some characters were corrupted in Shipman's typewriter, and the same characters were missing in Grundy's will. On September 7, 1998, the police arrested Hyde's well-known Dr. Harold Shipman. When this matter came to light, those people also came forward whose loved ones were killed by the shipmate earlier. They had doubts, but they could not raise their voice in front of the city's well-known doctor. The police also investigated 15 other patients who had died at the hands of the ship management some time back. There is a special case in all these cases. A pattern was observed in which patients were given lethal doses of diamorphine. He himself signed their death certificates and wrote old age as the cause of death. The shipmate also advised cremation so that all evidence could be destroyed after burning. During the shipmate inquiry, the cases of all the patients who died under Shipman's care were revisited. The inquiry team investigated all the documents, death certificates, and medical records that were handled by the shipmate. Apart from this, the families of those whose relatives were shipmates were also interviewed. Some of the bodies were exhumed, and forensic postmortems were also conducted. This process was very detailed, and during this it was found that Shipman had killed a total of 218 patients from 1975 till he was caught. This is a confirmed number, but in many cases, due to lack of evidence, they were not confirmed. It is estimated that this number can go up to 260. The court has sentenced 15 people to death. He tied a bedsheet to the bars of the ship management and hanged himself. After his death, one of his jailmates told him that he had killed not 260 but 508 people, and his shipmate himself had told him this. But the real reason for Shipman killing so many people could not be revealed till date. Some people call it psycho, some say it is a way to earn money, and some people are also considering it the effect of Shipman's mother's death because his mother, who was a cancer patient, was given morphine as a painkiller. Experts believe that maybe Shipman wanted to see his patients die in the same way by giving them morphine. Hope you all will like and share this video.